Hello everyone, IAmCasualty. Today we'll be creating another League of Legends character build for Dungeons & Dragons. We finished the set video, and after I did, I posted another vote, which was up for 24 hours, and after it ended, Jhin was the victor, so we'll be making a build for the Murderous Virtuoso today.
I suppose I must make do with this tawdry setting.
But before we begin, I want to say that I'm not an ADC main. I play mid, top, and rarely support and jungle. Usually I play ADCs in the mid lane, but differently. For example, I play Kai'Sa as full AP in mid and top. With that disclaimer out of the way, I'll get the usual YouTuber stuff out of the way early and say that if you enjoy the videos I create, just like this one, consider subscribing and dropping a like, and then leave a comment below telling me what character you'd like me to see make next, or you'll find me playing Tank Jhin in your rank games. We have to get through some lore, and Jhin has some decent lore, however a short story describes him a bit better. But I'll be reading the biography, and as always, I'll link the full biography in the description below for you to look at and read. But without further ado, I will tell you the small tale of the Golden Demon. One can travel to nearly any village across Ionia and hear the tale of the capture of the Golden Demon, but at the heart of every myth there lies a kernel of truth, and the truth of the Golden Demon is one far different than the fiction. Armed militias searched the forest, towns hunted demon hunters, Wuju masters patrolled the roads, but nothing slowed the beast's grisly work. In desperation, the Council of Xion sent an envoy to beg Great Master Kusho of the Kinku Order for help. Charged with maintaining the balance between the spirit and material realms, Kusho was adept in the banishment of demons. Leaving in secret lest the cunning creature be alerted to their intent, Kusho, his teenage son Shen, and younger apprentice Zed traveled to the province. They tended to countless families shattered by the killings, dissected the horrific crime scenes, and looked for connections between the murders. Soon, Kusho realized they were far from the first to hunt this killer, and his conviction grew that this was the work of something beyond the demonic. For the next 4 years, the Golden Demon remained beyond their reach, and the long investigation left the three men changed. The infamous Rain Maiden of the Kusho turned white. Shen, known for his wit and humor, became somber. And Zed, the brightest star of the Kusho Temple, began to struggle with his studies. They are born from men, and each sees the shades differently. Kusho sought to hand off the investigation, believing now that they had sought not a demon but a wicked human or Vestayan, taking them beyond the Kinku's mandate. Shen and Zed, unwilling to turn back after all they had sacrificed to bring the killer within reach, convinced him to continue the hunt. Kusho was proven right. The famed Golden Demon was a mere stagehand in Xion's traveling theaters and opera houses, working under the name Kata Jhin. After they caught Jhin, young Zed made to kill the cowering man, but Kusho held him back. He reminded his students that they had already broken their remit, and killing Jhin would only worsen the matters. Kusho worried that knowledge of Jin's humanity will undermine the harmony and trust that defined Ionian culture, or could even encourage others to commit similar crimes. Despite Jin's actions, the legendary master decided the killer should be taken alive and locked away within the monastery prison at Tula. In prison at Tula, Jhin kept his secrets, revealing little of himself as many years went by. The monks guarding him, however, noted that he was a bright student who excelled in many subjects including smithing, poetry, and dance. Regardless, they could find nothing to cure him of his morbid fascinations. Meanwhile, outside the monastery walls, Ionia fell into turmoil as the Noxian Empire invaded, and war awoke the tranquil nation's appetite for bloodshed. Jhin was free from Tula sometime after the war with Noxus, possibly put to use by one of the many radical elements vying for power of the first lands near the conflict's end. He now had access to the Kashuri Armory's new weapons, though how he came to possess such implements of destruction and what connection he has to Kashuri is still a mystery. Whoever his shadowy patrons might be, they have endowed Jhin with nearly unlimited funds and seemed unconcerned by the growing scale of his performances. Recently, he attacked members of Zed's Yen'le Order, and mass murderers and assassinations bearing his signature flair have occurred not only across Ionia's many regions, but also in distant Piltover and Zaun. It seems that all of Runeterra might be a canvas for the atrocity that is Jin's art, and only he knows where the next brushstroke will fall. Jhin is just a man from Ionia who has a taste for the more morbid things in life. So a variant human fits best. We've used variant human a few times before, but with variant human you get a choice of proficiency of one skill, a choice of a language, your choice of a feat, and then an ability score increase of +1 to 2 different stats, which I will mention when we talk about the ability scores later. But for the language and skill proficiency, you may pick your favorites, but I will take deception for the skill. Jhin evaded capture for so long, masquerading as a simple stagehand, so it seems to fit well for our feat. We're going to be grabbing the Gunner feature, which says we increase our dexterity score by 1. We gain a proficiency with Firearms. We ignore the loading property of Firearms. And the best feature, while we're within 5 feet of a hostile creature, we do not have disadvantage on our ranged attack rolls. Normally, when you try to use a ranged weapon in close combat, you have disadvantage, but with this feat, you can ignore that and the loading property of Firearms. This is where I'll mention that some tables, they don't allow Firearms, so be sure to talk with your DM before you just surprise them with this build, hoping that they'll be okay with it. I also want to add that in his short story, it mentions multiple things that you can rationalize in a build for Jhin. For example, it says understanding fire mechanics took him weeks of study, but evolving his key techniques from blades had only taken months. So Jhin had prior knowledge of key and prowess with blades before he used Firearms, and also mentions in the short story that the gun he's using has been infused with magic from Ionia and that the bullets themselves are infused with magic. Quoting, "Magic pulse from its bronze Ionian heart." some very intriguing facts that you could use, some of which I will take into account for this build because there are so many paths you could take Jhin down, the most effective being to keep him as a fighter, which allows him to get his 4th shot, but I will be electing to do something slightly different because someone in the community has already done this and I feel like I was copying them if I just said to do the same thing. That being said, we will be starting fighter, but first we have to get to the background and our ability scores. So for our background, we'll be an entertainer. Jhin is an artist, the corpse is his canvas, and his firearms the brushes. So, I feel this makes a good fit. However, in his biography it also says, the monks guarding him noted he was a bright student who excelled in many subjects including smithing, poetry, and dance. So you could rationalize making him a crafter or something else if you would like, or maybe even a scholar or student, something like that. But for our ability scores, we'll be using the point buy method as always, but if you roll to your table, be sure to make any multiclassing requirements. We will be taking a 15 dexterity, a 14 wisdom, a 13 charisma, 12 intelligence, 10 constitution, and 8 strength. For the additional +1s you get from your race, you're going to be putting a +1 to dex and a +1 to your wisdom. As I said, we will be multiclassing slightly here, but we will mainly be focusing on one class, and as I mentioned earlier, that will be fighter. We have gone over fighter many times in this series, but as a level 1 fighter, we get a D10 hit dice, a fighting style of our choice where we would take the archery style, giving us a +2 in attack rolls we make with ranged weapons, and for us, those count as firearms, making our shots more likely to land. We also get second wind feature here, letting us use a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus our fighter level. For starting equipment, get yourself a longbow, which you can do with the starting equipment from fighter, which you will use for now until level 3 because you will be crafting your firearms, unless your DM gives you a firearm early. But I'm saying to pick up a longbow just in case they don't, because I'm going to assume your DM might not give you one, but if they do, I recommend allowing them to give you the pistol, if you have the option. We don't have a disadvantage in close quarters, but we only ignore the loading property of firearms, and for those of you thinking or about the type, a comment saying, get a crossbow! In D&D, a crossbow is not considered a firearm, so for us, the longbow will have to do for now. At level 2, we'd be a level 2 fighter, and we would get action surge, letting us take an additional action on the same turn. Should you stick with fighter up until level 17, you can use an action surge twice before a long rest instead of just once. We lose out on one other thing, which I will talk about at level 5. But at level 3, we'll be a 3rd level fighter, and we get our subclass here, and we're going to be picking up, you guessed it, gunslinger. You get quite a few things right off the bat. You get firearm proficiency and gunsmith, as well as adept marksman and trick shots. So you can go back to those days on Rust in Modern Warfare 2. I just dated myself. Anyway, fire proficiency lets you add your proficiency bonus to attacks made with firearms, which we already have from a feat and more. The gunsmith feature says you gain proficiency with tinker tools, and you can use them to craft ammo at half the cost, repair your firearms, or even draft them to create new firearms from the firearms table, some of which are only available through this crafting list. Firearms are tricky and have a few properties that we should go over, the first being the reload property, but we currently ignore this property because of a feat. But normally, the reload property tells you how many rounds you have in the firearm before you must spend an action or one attack to reload it. So for example, if a pistol has a reload score of 4, you can shoot it 4 times before reloading, but luckily we ignore that with the firearms. But we do not ignore the misfire property, which says if you roll an attack with your firearm and the dice roll is equal to or lower than the misfire score on the weapon, the attack misses and the weapon cannot be used again until you spend your action to attempt to repair it. The difficulty check on this equals 8 plus the misfire score. If you fail this check to fix the misfire, then the weapon is then discovered to be broken and in worse shape than first thought. You will need to repair it out of combat then. For Jhin, the weapons we need from this table are the hand mortar, the bad news, and the pistol. The bad news being Jin's curtain call, the hand mortar being his bouncing grenade, and the pistol being Jin's whisper, also known as his pistol. The bad news and the hand mortar are special crafted only weapons from this table and don't have a default value, so it's at your DM's discretion how much they will charge you in materials to craft it. That goes for the pistol as well, being at 150 gold, but it has a base value so they can still adjust it from there. Remember, ammunition costs you half, but making a new weapon still costs you the full amount, but you may be able to sweet talk your DM into letting that slide. But I've spent enough time talking about this, so we're moving on to the adept marksman feature, with which you gain a number of grit points equal to your wisdom modifier and regain 1 grit point each time you roll a 20 on the d20 for an attack made with a firearm, or you deal a killing blow to a creature of significant threat, which is at your DM's discretion. You can also regain all of them after a short or long rest. Finally, you get 2 choices of a trick shots from a list, which you can perform by spending grit points. For us, we will pick up the violent shot, which says when you make a firearm attack against a creature, you can expend 1 or more grit points to enhance the attack. For each point expended, the attack gains 2 to the firearm's misfire score, but if the attack hits, you can roll in additional damage dice per grit point spent when you roll the damage. For us at level 3, we have 2 grit points, so we can add a +4 to our misfire score, but if we hit, we can add 2 damage dice to the attack roll. The other trick shot we will pick up is Deadeye Shot, which says we can spend 1 grit point to gain advantage on the attack roll. Finally, after that, we move into level 4, where we be a level 4 fighter, and we get into ability score improvement. We're going to bump up our ability scores to give us some better modifiers, so we're going to take a +1 to dex, a +1 to wisdom, giving us an 18 dexterity and a 16 wisdom, giving us another grit point and a better attack and damage rolls made with our firearms. At level 5, we're a level 5 fighter, and we get extra attack, which says when we take the attack action, we can attack twice instead of once. But at level 6, this is the point that I want to take a level 3 dip into another class, and for Jhin, 2 choices can make sense. Those choices being Monk and Rogue. Monk for the fact that Jhin mentioned Ki in his lore, and Rogue just for the fact that he kind of slinks the shadows and says traps for people and the like. So if you go Rogue, I'd probably pick up the Assassin subclass, but for us, I'm going to go into Monk and take 3 levels in Monk. And we're going to be taking those Monk levels for the next 3 levels. So, at level 6, we will be a Monk level 1, where as a Monk, we have D8 hit dice, we get unarmored defense, in his splash art and in-game, Jhin seems to be wearing basic clothes or at the most, some light armor and a mask. Since we're a fighter, we can choose to wear that armor, or you can choose this feature and use it to wear no armor and have your AC equal 10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your wisdom modifier. And since we do have a decent bit of both in this build, I think it makes a good bit of sense. Right now at level 6, we have a 17 AC without armor and with wearing armor. So it wouldn't matter which one you wear anyway, but it will get better as we continue in this leveling process without armor. So I recommend not wearing armor. We also gain martial arts here, letting us use our dexterity for attack rolls made with unarmed strikes and monk weapons, along with 2 other bonuses that don't really benefit us much since we're mostly a ranged user and firearms aren't monk weapons. However, just like in our Yasuo build, you can talk to your DM and take the dedicated weapon optional feature at monk level 2, and turn one of your firearms into your dedicated weapon. If you do so, I would choose the pistol to be your dedicated weapon. At level 7, we're monk level 2, and we gain that optional feature dedicated weapon. We also gain a 10-foot speed increase to our movement speed while not wearing armor thanks to unarmored movement, and so now we're at 40-foot speed of movement. You also gain Ki at this level, which allows you to spend those Ki points on certain actions such as Flurry of Blows, Step of the Wind, and Patient Defense. These actions were also explained in the Yasuo video and the set video, which I'll link at the top right in case you wanted to go watch those. At level 8, we're level 3 monk, and we get Deflect Missiles, which lets us use a reaction to reduce the damage of a ranged weapon attack made to us. We reduce this attack by 1d10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your monk level. If you reduce the damage to 0, you catch the projectile and may spend a Ki point to throw it back at them, and we also get our monk subclass at this level. And a few things stood out to me, but the one that stood out most was the Way of the Long Death, which gives us the Touch of Death feature, and it says, your study of death allows you to extract vitality from another creature as it nears its demise. When you reduce a creature within 5 feet of you to 0 hit points, you gain temporary hit points equal to your wisdom modifier, plus your monk level. This temporary HP can be a minimum of 1. This is just a nice addition to survivability, and since we don't have disadvantage on shots made within 5 feet, we can get a kill on an enemy up close to us and get a bit of temporary HP from it. For the rest of this build, we're going to be sticking to fighter. So for level 9, we're a level 6 fighter, and we get an ability score improvement here, so we're going to be increasing our dexterity by 2, giving us a 20 dexterity, capping it out and giving us a plus 5 modifier. At level 10, we're a level 7 fighter, and we get the quick draw feature, which allows us to add our proficiency bonus to our initiative, letting us go sooner in the turn order because now our initiative bonus is sitting at a plus 9, and we can also stow and draw another firearm as a single interaction on our turn. So we can put away our pistol and pull out our bad news sniper rifle in one single interaction. We also gain a new trick shot option here, where you can choose Piercing Shot. Piercing Shot lets you spend a grip point to shoot through multiple opponents, with the downside that you gain plus 1 to the misfire score of the weapon, and after you hit, you make an attack roll against every single creature behind that opponent that you hit, at disadvantage though, but luckily only the first roll against that target, or against the first target I should say, can misfire. I know that in-game on League of Legends that current call ultimate shots only go through minions and stop on champions, but this is still nice flavor. At level 11, we're a level 8 fighter, and we get an ability score improvement. Fighters get quite a few of these, so expect more, but on this one, we're going to be increasing our wisdom, giving us an 18 wisdom, increasing our modifier to a plus 4, giving us more grip points and a better AC, which is now sitting at a 19. At level 12, we're a level 9 fighter, and we gain the Indomitable feature, which says we can re-roll a saving throw that we fail. If we do so, we must use the new roll and can't do this again until we finish a long rest. But at level 13, we can do this twice before a long rest, and at level 17, we can do this 3 times before a long rest, giving us a nice backup plan in case we fail a save. At level 13, we're now a level 10 fighter, and we gain the Rapid Repair feature, which lets us learn how to quickly attempt to fix a jammed gun. We can spend a grip point to attempt to repair a misfired but not broken firearm as a bonus action. Remember, when you misfire, it becomes misfired, but if you fail on the check to fix the misfire, it becomes broken, and you have to fix it out of combat. Normally, to fix a misfire costs your action. This feature lets you spend a grip point instead to use your bonus action to fix it instead. We also gain another trick shot here, and we're going to grab Winging Shot, which says when we make a firearm attack against a creature, we can spend a grip point to attempt to topple that target on a hit. The creature suffers the normal damage of the shot, but must make a strength saving throw or be knocked prone. Some nice utility to help ourselves against a tough target that we want crowd controlled, or a target that we want to make prone so that our melee attacking buddies and party members can have advantage on strikes they make to that downed opponent. Remember, ranged attacks made to prone targets have disadvantage, but if you have advantage in the attack, it just cancels that out, making it a normal roll. At level 14, we're a level 11 fighter, and we get an improvement to our extra attack feature, letting us make 3 attacks when we take the attack action. This is the feature that would let you obtain 4 attacks, but like I said earlier, someone had already done this, so if you want your 4th shot, then just stick with fighter all the way instead of taking 3 levels of monk, but it gave us some extra survivability and some flavor, so I'm going to stick with it. At level 15, we're going to be a level 12 fighter, and we get another ability score improvement, and we're going to be capping our wisdom here to a 20, giving us a +5 modifier and giving us another grit point, and giving us a 20 AC at this level with no armor. I wanted to mention that currently all of our firearms have a +12 to hit and a +5 to their damage, and that's before any other effects or bonuses are added on. At level 16, we're a level 13 fighter, and we get the extra use of our Indomitable feature here, but that's all here. So we're moving on. We're going to be level 17, and we're going to be level 14 fighter. If you guess that we're getting another ability score improvement, you get a cookie, but since we've capped both our dexterity and wisdom, I think we're going to be grabbing a feature here. And we have a choice to make. You can pick up the piercer feat, or you can get sharpshooter. I'm going to be taking sharpshooter, which says attacking at long range doesn't impose disadvantage on your weapon attack rolls. Your ranged weapon attacks are no half and 3/4 cover. And before you make an attack with a ranged weapon, you can choose to take a -5 penalty on the attack roll, and if you hit, you can add 10 to the damage roll. This gives us some extra nice damage. At level 18, we're a level 15 fighter, and we get the lightning reload feature, which says we can reload any firearm as a bonus action. We can basically ignore this already, but it's still nice if you weren't able to get that gunner feature early on. We also get another trick shot here, and we're going to be taking forceful shot, which says when we attack a creature with a firearm, we can spend a grit point, and on a hit, they must make a strength saving throw, or we push 15 feet away from you. This is good for sending creatures off ledges, into AoEs that your casters have put down, or even just getting creatures away from you. At level 19, we're a level 16 fighter, and we get our final ability score improvement. We're going to take a feat again, and we have 2 choices possible to us again. You can take that piercer feature I mentioned earlier, or you can take the prodigy feature, which would make sense since Jhin was very studious and smart. The prodigy feature says we gain 1 skill, 1 tool, 1 language proficiency of our choice, and we can choose a skill that we already have proficiency with, and we'll gain expertise in that skill, which means that our proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check we make with that skill. So take your pick, but I'm going with prodigy here. The skill I'm going to choose is deception for the expertise. I'm going to grab arcana for the proficiency, and I'm going to take smith's tools for the tool proficiency because it said he had knowledge of smithing in his lore. And finally, at level 20, we're a level 17 fighter, and we get another use of our action surge, letting us use action surge twice before a long rest, but we can only use it once on the same turn. So at level 20, what do I think of this build? So first of all, you do really good damage. You have a +13 to hit with your firearms at this level. You have a 20 AC and a +11 to your initiative bonus. And technically, at level 20, you do have the ability to attack 4 times on your turn. You can make 2 attacks with your firearm, and then you can action surge and make 2 more attacks. So technically you do have 4 shots, but semantics. You're a pretty scary dude who gets to attack 3 times with his gun twice in combat, and if your DM was nice enough to let you have the dedicated weapon from Monk, you can then make 1 more attack with it as a bonus action. If all went well and you didn't misfire, giving us a possible of 7 shots in 1 turn, which with our pistol alone without any damage bonuses other than a modifier, that would give us a 7d10 plus 35 damage in 1 turn for a possible of 105 in 1 turn, which isn't bad, but you can also choose to swap out for your sniper rifle where it deals 2d12 plus 5 per attack, but since that's not our dedicated weapon, we only get 6 shots with it, so we keep that in mind. But this gives us a 12d12 plus 30 for a possible max damage of 174 in 1 turn. So you can lay on some damage from pretty decent range. I hope y'all enjoyed this build. Let me know which character you'd like me to play next in the comments below. I think what I'm going to do in the future is do these videos and also other content as well, so don't be surprised if you see more of that on the channel. Otherwise, thank you for watching everybody, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day.